Bam! What is up, squad? It's Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies, back like I never left. Y'all know what it is. It's another episode of Cess Talk Sports and BY's Polysports Podcast. Today, y'all, we bringing y'all the Essence Magazine article review of Young, Gifted, and Paid. Coco Gauff is 2024's highest paid female athlete. In the building with me right now, Political Lil, my insightful co-host. What's good, Political Lil? How are you?
Doing okay.
All right, so we gonna have this discussion, y'all. Some of y'all saw the piece already, have made some comments, talked to us in some other lives, but together, like right now, we're gonna explore how Coco Gauff is not just making history, y'all, on the tennis court, but she breaking barriers for Black female athletes across the world.
Absolutely. Coco Gauff is rewriting the rules. She's showing female athletes that they are not only marketable, but they can dominate mainstream audience. So we're gonna take y'all deeper inside the Essence Magazine article, and it was just put out, I believe last what is this, December? I believe it was earlier this month. It came out. And so I would like for y'all to go to Essence online and do check out that article. But I was just astonished because I had not heard anything about the fact that this young lady had made $30 million.
30 million. 30 million.
And it was not, wasn't highly publicized, I put it like that. So
well, not only that, Lil, here's my problem. We're talking about athlete of the year, right? Athlete of the year. We talking about this award, athlete of the year. And listen, that's a great award. Athlete of the year is a great award to have, right? But how about we're not talking about the fact that there was a Black female, I believe under 30.
20 years old.
20 years old. That was the woman of the year. They made $30 million in 12 calendar months. Stop playing with me. Right, we talking about the athlete of the year. Don't take nothing away from the athlete of the year. She gonna make $28 million over her whole Nike contract. Coco made $30 million this year. The year ain't even up. She probably made more than 30. She might be at 30.01 by now because the year is still going. You hear me? You hear me? 30.04. Do you hear me? Because they still count like this. We're not talking about this part though. Let's dive into this article because it was 30.4 million in total earnings, $25 million coming from sponsorship deals, and y'all tell me that Black women aren't marketable? Stop playing with me. Somebody think we are. Somebody thinks we are. What does that say about her impact, Political Lil?
Well, it tells you that she's challenging stereotypes and redefining what it means to be a Black woman in sport. And this is not just here in the United States. She is the top earning female globally, all over the world. And so it just lets you know that what you hear in the press about Black women not being marketable is really not true. It's just being fabricated like that. And it's a shame because and she's in one of the most challenging sports, which is tennis. Not
a team sport. Coco out there doing this on her own. She ain't looking around, passing it to nobody. This Coco out here doing this, okay? This is all Coco. All 30.4 million. She made all that. With nobody else on the court with her. It was Coco.
Yep, and she's besides being talented, she's just so authentic. And I think that's what resonates with people so much. I mean, you have young ladies, little girls that now want to take the challenge of playing tennis, which is a very expensive endeavor. So for her to come through, but on the shoulders of Venus and Serena, I must say.
On the shoulders of Althea. Like Althea.
Althea Gibson. We can go all the way back.
We can go back. We can walk it back. We can walk it back to where we're talking about it from.
But she's
it's not,
go ahead.
It just ain't about the money. It's about the representation, right?
Yeah.
Seeing a young Black female athlete at the forefront of tennis and this massive global marketing campaign is groundbreaking. So I mean, we haven't seen this. Like I said, at the forefront of tennis, and still hasn't, like, Coco, I think, has won only one of the majors. Is that right? Has she won one or two majors? I think
Yes, I think she
World
won the U.S.
Cup
Open,
last year,
right,
right?
in
So
2023.
she hasn't even really like
Hit her stride.
hit her stride yet. But she made 30 million, 25 million of that in endorsements. With the trajectory that her career is on, I expect that to explode over the next couple seasons. I mean, she's you know, I don't know. Maybe you can put into words for me how important you think this kind of visibility is for inspiring the next generation of little girls, next generation period. Not even just little girls, just next generation.
Well, it's really monumental because you have a young lady out here that's transcending the game. I mean, when you look at some of her endorsements, with these brands like Rolex, Bose, New Balance, you know, they're partnering with her in a way that's, because these are global companies, and her image is everywhere. I mean, tennis is not a sport that I dive deeply into, but I was just so shocked at an article,
Hmm.
that I mean, I know about tennis. I've seen some tennis, especially when Serena and her sister were playing.
Hmm.
But Coco is somebody I've heard of that's kind of new. So when I heard this, I was really kind of astonished. Because I know she hasn't been out there, uh, on a professional level that long. To be making that kind of impact is really
Hmm.
fascinating.
I mean, not only that, I mean, she carried the flag this year in the Olympic ceremonies,
She
right,
sure
with
did.
LeBron, right? She was that representative.
Right,
So
and they chose her to do that. She was
yeah,
chose to.
yeah, she was selected.
Mm-hmm.
Based on, I'm sure that part of that is just based on her marketability, her the exposure that she's had worldwide. You know what I mean, with her being a recognizable talent, because you play tennis all over the world. It's really a different sport, because you go to so many different places to prove that you're the best on these different types of courts and these different historical places. So, um, but us talk a little bit more about the sponsorships. So we got brands like New Balance, Rolex, Bose. I think Berea is
Yeah,
one.
awesome.
These, yeah, the pasta. These companies don't. And for the life of me, it was like, what does pasta have to do with tennis? I guess nothing. It doesn't have to do. Doesn't have to. Doesn't have to tie in at all
That's
to the
pretty
sport.
important.
If they feel like she, her face and her narrative, her brand can help sell it. So, um, she has that. You talked about her authenticity. She got this relatability. Still just 20
Mhm.
years old. Accepted it in all levels. You got older people looking at her like that person that's gonna carry it on, and you got young people looking at her like that could be me. And then she's competing, um, you know, so well, at her level. And again, like you said, it hasn't hit her stride. Still kind of figuring that out, but it also highlights how far we've come in kind of debunking the myth that black athletes aren't marketable to mainstream audiences or globally.
Yeah, and she's exploded like in the social media ring. She does her TikToks. She makes posts on different social media platforms, and she still, I've heard some negative things said about her.
Of course, goes with
Some
the territory.
I think when she won the Japan tennis championship, somebody put on the social media that she was acting like a 5-year-old child, you know, teasing her about the way she was celebrating the victory, which I
Hmm.
thought was, and she responded, it's just the joy of winning. It's not, I'm out here, in other words, stop trying to police me. I don't need you
Exactly.
policing my behavior.
But not only that, that's part of the joy of why we watch. Like, especially
Mhm.
in sports where they still do at least allow you to celebrate. That's one of the things I miss out of the NFL is like Terrell Owens going and I think it was Terrell that fought, looking for or it might have been Ocho Cinco, whoever that was when he got the cell phone
I
out the
think that
field
was
goal
Ocho.
post, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Ocho. Grabbed the cell phone off the field goal post and then had to call somebody because he had just put it on somebody. Like that's the kind of creativity and the celebration to me that I enjoy. I like to see people talk their trash and celebrate something. So that's fun for me.
Yeah, and then I
Uh,
really like that she breaking down, uh, all of these stereotypes about being uh, too loud, too aggressive. I mean, she's loud and proud, and and should be celebrated. She's accomplishing a lot for a young lady of
mhm.
her age. And I mean, this it just in the sport of tennis, because tennis been always been a like a gatekeeper type of sport. You just look
And
how long it took us to get in
I
it.
mean, like golf. It's one of those expensive sports. It's an expensive sport to get into, right?
Yeah.
You talking about private court time. You talking about private type coaches. You have. I don't even know. High schools. A lot of them even still have like tennis teams, right? So, and then
Mhm.
when you get to the colleges, tennis is, unless you're really good at tennis, you probably get very little money. So, you kind of have to do a lot of that stuff on your own and getting into these different tournaments and then traveling to those tournaments. And some of the places all over the world, political will, like, you got to get to France, you got to get over. They doing something in Belgium, they doing something in Japan. You got to buy the equipment, all these tennis balls and all that. It is a very hard sport to break into without some type of subsidies or free programs or somebody doing clinics in the inner city. So yeah, definitely
Yeah, and
a gatekeeper type of
you
sport.
still have black women that are underrepresented in tennis. It's still not a large number of black women that are
But
physically on
no,
the tennis
we
circuit.
just we just kind of count them on our hand. Althea, Venus, Serena,
And you get one
Sloan,
at a time,
Sloan,
one
or a
career.
couple here and there, a couple here and there. I forget. Dr. J's daughter was playing at one time. A couple other names I'm not remembering off the top of my head. I'm seeing a girl with freckles. I can't call her name, but again, it's when you can count them on your hand, it's not enough.
That's correct.
For a whole sport. If I can count on my hand, then that mean it ain't been enough. So
And then I'm once again, I hate to keep beating the same drum, but for this not to be blown up, I mean, it
y'all
wasn't
let me know in the
peanuts.
chat. How many of y'all knew that she had won this award before we talked about it? Let me know in the chat. How many of y'all knew that she had won this award and that she had made this much money in the year? Let me know in the chat, please. Fam, let me know.
Because it didn't seem it wasn't in a lot of publications.
I would shoot political loyalty. You told me the girl won the award. I thought Time had only gave out an Athlete of the Year award. I didn't know it was no other awards they had gave out. I thought it was Athlete of the Year was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Woman of the Year.
Was nowhere.
Woman of the Year at 20 years old. Woman of the Year. What does that say about her? What does that say about her brand? What does that say about her marketability? What does it say about her work ethic? What does that say about her dedication to her sport? What does that say about the lights and the eyes and the people and the sponsorships that she's bringing to this atmosphere, to this entertainment? We're like, she's entertainment, and we
It's
don't even know.
nice camera and not a lot of acting in terms
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
of letting the
It's not a
people
lot.
know that she's out here. You know, she gonna wind up being a hidden figure. Cause you just hid her figure. They believe somebody paid $30 million. Wasn't just in the United States. You talking about globally, the highest paid female, but they not pushing that narrative, and I kind of
I
think
mean,
it's
this
just
is
like,
this is the epitome of getting to the bag. She went everywhere the bag was and picked it up. You hear me? She went all around the world just picking up bags. All around the world picking up bags. This if getting to the bag was a person, this year is Coco Gauff. She got to the bag.
yeah.
Wherever it was at, she was like, I'm pulling up. I'm pulling up. Hey, she was pulling up, pulling up and picking up. See, FM, you didn't know about the award. A lot of people didn't know about the award. A lot of people, uh, nobody's. MJ, you didn't know. Let me see what else is going on in the chat. Let me say hello to everybody. I'm so sorry. Uh,
Hello,
I
y'all.
get I get excited about this stuff. Miracle Rider for you in the building, but that girl can ball. Absolutely, Miss D was good. We have to respect everybody. Don't matter what color you are, but if you legit, you can throw shade. I don't know what you mean by that. Uh, they thought in the tennis black women market left with the Williams sisters, didn't they? Sloan was out there and Coco. It's a few other ones. All the girls you talking about and legit ball out in the sport. Out there, Gibson, Zena Garrison came just before the Williams sisters. That's another one. Zena Garrison. There's a couple other names I'm forgetting. 30 million. Let's go, Coco. You in the wrong chat for that. Merrill Williams, Big Wrench was good. It was Joe Horn. Thank you, AB. It was Joe Horn that went and did it. I gave credit to the wrong one. Joe Horn went got the phone out the field goal post and made the call. Equipment, nope. I didn't know about the award. Oh yeah, get that money, Coco. Zena Garrison in the 80s. Yeah.
And you know, Coco got her New Balance. She has a signature shoe with New Balance. And that's even a game changer.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, y'all let me know. $30.4 million at just 20 years old, with 25 million coming from sponsorships. What does that say about her influence beyond tennis? Y'all let me know in the chat. What does that say about her influence beyond tennis? Because I don't even see Coco. Listen, I didn't see Coco enough on my screen, political Lil, to even understand that she had impacted the marketing with and endorsements for $25 million. I didn't even see her face that much to even know. So it makes me feel like most of this happens outside of the United States. And it made me think about when you were saying, like, you know, globally, how so many black artists, especially back in the early 60s and 70s, found comfort and success outside the United States after kind of starting their name here and trying to build here on the what they call it, the Chitlin Circuit and all of that. Then they ended up, I think Tina Turner ended up in, like, she is Switzerland.
Yeah, Switzerland.
She went and got dual citizenship in Switzerland. Plenty of I've heard plenty of people talk about how they went over to Europe and were treated like royalty, treated way better than they ever were. That it was hard to come back here after going out of the country and performing or being accepted and supported and loved on. I guess loved on in a way. So, you know, Coco, she's not just a tennis player. She's this cultural icon that's influencing fashion and philanthropy and activism. Y'all let me know what makes her so impactful. Let me hear y'all take. Let's see. Lights, camera. WTF, Coco Butters. I know someone who played with her dad in college. Coco comes from a good family. So, did her dad play tennis? Did he shoot hoop? What was he? Coco is a beast on the tennis court. Listen, Coco is a problem. Now, what do y'all think is keeping Coco from just hitting that stride on the majors? Is it just experience from her being able to string together what do they call it? Not the Serena Slam. The what is it? The Grand Slam.
Grand Slam, yeah.
When you get all four in the same year, is that when you get the four majors? What's keeping her from that? One of the things people didn't realize is that Coco will call you out if you are not being upfront or consistent. Hey, people don't they be looking at Coco like, you so nice. Till you see something, till you do something wrong, Coco open her mouth and let you know something, don't she? Yeah. Coco don't hold you up. Unapologetically herself. Yeah, I believe he got fined. But that comes from, like you talked about, being on the backs of Venus and Serena and Althea, right? So I don't know. I watched Serena's 8-part series. It was so interesting to hear her career from her standpoint. From the hatred that she got, the hate mail, the challenges she got, fighting to get her money, all stuff that you don't even know is going on. All the health battles and stuff that she had, all of the fight that she went through, but you know, to keep kicking down the door that Althea had kicked down, so that Coco could come through and kick it down even further. It's important to talk about. It's important it's important to celebrate, but it's also important to talk about, and it's important to keep telling these stories. And that's part of what my passion about this podcast is being able to tell these stories and bring to light the people that came before and how things are connected and what it is we see playing out in front of us. So let me see here. He got fined. they hate when she goes after the umpires, but most of the time she's right about her grievances. Huh? The way impactful on Clay. He played basketball, and her mother ran track. Okay. Coco is too smart to let people slide on nonsense, and some people don't like that. What do you think about that? Political about them not liking her being so aware, so
Well,
uh,
it's just a double standard, and it's glaring. You know, the sports media, they like to build you up and then tear you down. And so I think by her watching Serena and Venus come through the system, and even her parents, because I think she was a little girl then. You have to have a support group around you, that can keep you grounded, but also keep you aware of the racial bias and the media bias and all these things that go on as you're out here, just trying to be a successful young black woman.
mm-hmm,
That just seems to be a problem everywhere. They want you to be somebody else, to have a double consciousness, and when you don't, the reason why she could call them out is similar to the way I used to call people out. Even when I was in the military. I had plenty of one-liners for you. If you came, if you came with that nonsense, and I used to keep a can of, I used to keep the spray can on my desk. It was called bullshit repellent. So as soon as, as soon as you come with some bullshit, I give you a little spray. What is that? Bullshit repellent, so I can repel your bullshit.
yeah, go on with that. Going on now, go on with that.
With the nonsense, just like she quickly responded to that negative comment, when she won that tournament in Japan. Got out here telling her she acting like she celebrating like a child.
Mm-hmm.
You have when you are working through this system, you have to be armed with the knowledge of how this system works. So that you're able to counter. When they punch you, because they always looking to get a punch in, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to counter back. And let people know you're not dealing with a crash dummy here. And I'm
Not
not
a
going
crash
to
dummy.
I'm not going to change who I am, because you can't change your color no matter how you try. And
Sammy Sosa.
I'm not, and he still was black.
He done made up
Little
with
light.
Chicago Cubs now though. He done made up with Chicago Cubs though. Now he's headed back
Yeah,
home.
that was over. They see that's
Ooh,
another thing. They wanna. I hadn't heard it. It was another guy. He was I can't think. He was playing for St. Louis. He was in the home run race too. And I've never heard nobody break him down and make him
Mark
apologize.
McGuire.
Yeah, use the steroid.
Mark ain't
But
apologizing.
that's what I'm
Mark,
saying. But you want
Mark
to
ain't
make him.
apologizing.
You want to make
Roger ain't
him
apologizing.
apologize.
No.
That's what I'm
Mm.
saying. It's always a double standard. It's just so annoying. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to people who are fans to continue to support these young ladies, continue to support these black athletes, because they do suffer from mental health issues when they get that kind of constant badgering.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from the press, and especially social
And you see him
media.
talking about it. You see him talking about it even more openly.
Yeah,
Like
and that's what you have to do. You have to point these people out. You have to point these systems out. These flaws. People making these derogatory comments. It can't be something that you tolerate, because if you tolerate it, they will not stop. you
mm-hmm.
know. And so,
You got to nip it right in the bud.
yeah,
Give him a little rap on the beard, like get some respect. That's all. So
yep.
you got to check it. You got to check it where it happens. You got to check it where it happens so that it don't go no further than right there. You got to check it where it happens.
And then we
And
have to hold these
you can't
people
be
accountable.
afraid of that backlash or
Yeah.
that people try to make you a angry black woman or look at you you tripping, you overreact. No, I'm checking it where it stands. I'm checking it where it
Mhm.
stands so it don't go no further. And it don't even have to be no big thing. I said what I said and let's move on. Now what's making it a big thing is now you still talking about it. I said
Mhm.
what I said. Let's move on. That's all. But and listen, Coco's individuality. You talked about her creating her own signature shoe, her being unapologetically her authenticity. It shines through, right? Whether she's you see her out there signing autographs for the kids or giving us. So she does this. She does a lot of stuff on Instagram, but um I did not see the post you mentioned after she won the U.S. Open. You said it was raw and
No,
emotional and it garnered millions of likes. What was that post? I did not see it. Oh yeah, we got to check all the disrespect FM right away. Harold Williams, you said 50. You kind of got spanked again. What's 50? What was 50? I don't know. I got 30 in the chat. Run it up, please.
I don't remember exactly what she said, but
Hmm. Or I mean, if you could find the link, we could share it out later. I didn't see it. I know I know they said it garnered millions of likes, and it could, you can't fake that type of interaction with people, especially on Instagram, especially in social media. That's one thing about social media; they will let you know how they feel. They will let you know with a like or a dislike, or some of the and I'm saying outside of the bullies and the trolling and that kind of stuff. Like, people will let you know right away. It is a very real way to get a great reaction to how people are feeling about you. And now she had a Bose campaign, and she gives out her pre match playlist. Um,
mm-hmm.
and I give you like an inside peek. And so I'm a big music person, so I love that. I love that, and I'm gonna have to go and like really start checking for like her playlist, because you can always get introduced to some new great artist looking at other people's playlists. But it does give a glimpse into like what gets her up for the game with her passion. It allows her to use her passion for music, and that builds in the authenticity, I think, still. And then you kind of don't see her as just an athlete. You get a chance to see her as kind of like just this person you can relate to. When I'm having a bad day, this is the song I play. When I want to get up for something, this is the song I play. And it gives a real connection.
Yeah, she gives out a spirit, just a mix of fun and happiness. She still got a lot of kid in, in terms of the way she expresses her joy. So that's
Well,
kind of.
and I keep thinking she is a kid, but not a kid. But she's not grown. She ain't 21 yet. But they want her acting like she's 30. She made 30 million. See, she's 20 years old, but she made 30 million. Yeah, and this is something that I think society as a whole is going to have to get used to. These young people are going to be having access to more capital than we're used to them having at very young ages, and they're going to do some very young stuff sometimes, and we're going to have to be able to say they're just young. And we need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to we need to be trying to reach back and put things in place and help guide them, so that they don't make as many young mistakes. But we can really see this is something that's unheard of. They're talking about giving away NIL in high school right now.
Yeah,
They're
a lot
talking
of
about
states.
giving NIL in high school. Let's get real. If we
Mm-hmm.
thought we had lived in a survival of the fittest time, no, we finna see how fit everybody is right now. It's gonna be survival of the fittest time right now. Hey, get down and lay down. If you know, you know. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Listen to what I'm saying. We survival of the fittest time is right now. Right. It's upon us right now. 2025 is going to be survival of the fittest. We're gonna see who's still standing at the end of this.
Yeah, and
If you
they're gonna
know, if
have
you
to
know,
keep
you know.
changing because these kids they don't want the 9 to 5 and then I'm working 40 years and you give me a watch at the end of the retirement. You
These
know
kids are trying to work 40 minutes for $40,000.
they.
Okay, 40 minutes for $40,000. Okay, period. They like work 8 9 to 5 all day. What? I got a nephew right now that if they would just make school 3 hours, he would be so happy, so
Mm-hmm.
happy. And it's not that he doesn't want to learn; it's that he wants to learn his own stuff. He wants to be
Mm-hmm.
able to try his own things. He has his own ideas about what could generate capital, what could generate money. School
Mm-hmm.
is not capturing his attention like that, as much as being able to create is, being able
Mm-hmm.
to tell a story. So we're gonna have to redefine and redesign how we reach kids, how we educate, how we do a lot of things if we're gonna keep up with the Joneses of the world, because we ain't the Joneses no more, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
They're not keeping up with us. They didn't pass us up.
Yeah, it's
They like
their
ketchup
time.
mustard. They like ketchup mustard. These other countries is like, We've done some things. We've done some things that got us ahead of y'all in a way, and then we done made some decisions that got us in debt to some places that gonna be interesting.
But I
And
think
that's
she's going to open doors for other young ladies in
absolutely.
tennis. And you know, they trying a few things. They have a few, you know, inclusive initiatives that they're trying. You know,
Hmm.
because like you were saying before, the sport is, you know, extremely expensive to get into, and a lot of families can't get into it. You know, we have a huge uh, tennis center here in
Hmm.
my city,
Oh, really?
and yeah, for you know, for low income kids that want to participate in the sport. I mean, he got like 23 indoor courts,
Oh,
13
wow.
outdoor
That's dope.
courts. As a matter of fact, he had Coco come in, you know, over the summer, talk to the kids, you know, different things like that. So we have some initiatives in some of the, you know, African American communities that are trying to give kids, you know, an opportunity, just like when they put all these basketball courts, you know, in the community, then you start, you know, producing some phenomenal athletes. So I will give
Absolutely.
tennis that credit, you know.
Yeah, I just it didn't and I guess it's that it's not enough of these type of initiatives where, but when it was really on fire, like Venus and Serena,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the influx, right, of minority players into the sport. But what I realized is that even if I get a racket tomorrow, I can't get in the sport right away. Like this, they started doing this when they still, they were, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, coming on up. Matter of fact, I think the man said that he went home after saw the lady make 30,000 on TV and said he was gonna make him one of them. So they came here to do that, right? And he ended up making him two. What he said. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you get access to the racket and the ball, it's still the coaching and the development. And so the commitment and the hard work and the time that it takes and what you have to go through. What Serena was just talking about, just what it does to your body. This is a game that doesn't have any time limit. As quick as you can beat somebody's ass is as quick as it can be done. Now, how long is it gonna take you? They be out there
Mm-hmm.
5 hours, 6 hours. You sit down for a second and drink water and get back out there. And
Mm-hmm.
unless you playing doubles, that's you.
Yeah.
Up, down, over, keep back to the middle, get, up into the net, back out the net, to the right, to the left. That's you out there. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
tremendous amount of stamina, a tremendous amount of just mental strength, right, and stability to even be able to just. And then you got all these people looking, and they quiet. It's quiet in there. They not really cheering like go 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 till you do something good. Other than that, you don't know. It's just you. You got to make something happen. So, um, I see in the chat it has to be taxing grinding on to be grinding on the court and then battling it against the world day after day for recognition, for equity, for equal pay, for all of these things. And then it's not just about the representation; it's about the access, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go through all of this to be able to be this role model, and then there are still socioeconomic barriers that prevent many talented black athletes from even getting a foot in the door to even try to be a Coco Gauff. It is an expensive. You got coaching, equipment, travel. It all adds up. Not every family can afford to invest in that, and it's a huge barrier. And everybody can't afford to check out the books from the library and teach themselves at night and go coach their kids, during the day and go
Mm-hmm.
work at night like what Richard Williams did. And so they look
Mm-hmm.
at him a lot of times. They try to make him this clown because he did some stuff and said some stuff. Sometimes you'd be like, "Come on now, Richard. Come on, Richard." But at the same time, respect what he was able, what him and his wife were able to do. And what is her name? It started with an O. I don't want to mess it up. Uh, Oracine. What Richard and Oracine were able to do, and the commitment from the rest of the family to be able to share a Venus and Serena with us, to have them set a stage that Coco could come and perform on now, as she sets the stage for whoever's coming behind her. So I guess let's start with the diversity or or the lack of it. What's your take on that, Lil?
Well, you have a lot of systemic, you know, barriers that that you're going to face, and the biggest one you just brought up is the socioeconomic barrier. It's just not uh, to get to be productive like she was. You have to get to an elite level, and like you was explaining, that takes a lot of training, coaching, and access. You don't know coming through the system if these young ladies have total access to, some of the same things that white young ladies coming up in the tennis game may have. Because you still in every level of tennis, you have those gatekeepers that they don't really want to see you coming if they can help. And they may do little things to make that kind of difficult for you to get into. It's just one of those type of sport. And then when you don't have the support of tennis programs on a high school level, what these young ladies can get scholarships to play, on the college level, it can. That's why you just don't see an arm rush of these black female players coming into the tennis game because they not making it accessible. There's limited uh, accessibility, and that's one of the biggest problems, in terms of being able to even do the sport, and then with the economic expense of it, you know, being almost comparable to golf. And you know how expensive golf is. For kids coming out these urban centers, they not gonna have those type of chances.
Political
Opportunity.
ill. When I seen the tennis academy that they showed up at it in the movie for Venus Slim, I had no idea the tennis academy got on like that. It was about 100 courts at the tennis academy. That man say
Mhm.
this all me. They had free food. Everybody was just riding little golf carts. They were doing nothing but playing tennis. I was amazed. I was amazed that it was that much money in that sport. And you see it more down in like Florida, Southern California. I was amazed at the dollars.
Well, it's
Um,
always been an elitist sport, you know.
hmm
Uh, played by people, just like golf. It's almost on the same plane as golf in terms of who can actually afford to play.
uh,
Not who's capable of playing it, who's capable of developing skills, but just can you afford it. And then they got the circuit so structured, in terms of how you get into these governing bodies, for tennis, way they set up matches. It's a whole lot of barriers, that you eventually run into that could, stop the progress. So
oh yeah,
that's why
shoot,
a few people get through.
oh yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I watch tennis and golf sometimes just for the commercials because they advertise such rich stuff
Yeah.
during those events. That's when you see the Rolex commercials. What is the
Mm-hmm.
what is the Patek watches and all that. That's when you see them rolling. The Maybach commercials. Stuff that you really don't have to advertise. Stuff that you don't got to really market a Mercedes. It's gonna sell off the fact that it's a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
A Rolex is gonna sell off the fact that it's a Rolex. So you don't really have they don't have competition really, um, to a certain extent. But the name itself, it's elite, it's luxury, it sells itself. So sometimes I just watch. I watch for that, because and then there's the media, right? Even when black female athletes do break through, they're often undermined in the coverage by biased coverage. You can from how they talk about their hairstyle, look at their hair and what are those things on the end of their hair. The stuff is all over, and you got a point going from you because your beads fell out your hair, and just all kind of stuff, right? It's total, it's biased coverage, and then and it was sometimes I like to listen at tennis when black players are playing because you try to hear them talk about them without saying that they for a black person or for a black girl, but you can almost hear it in what they
Mm-hmm.
saying, right? Oh, what a great return! You can hear that for a black girl. Oh my god, make my skin crawl. But I watch almost just to it cracks me up sometimes just to watch them on screen trying to skate around it. But look at how Coco and Serena have been described to their white counterparts: aggressive, intimidating, instead of passionate or competitive. It's frustrating to see that little that and that all that noise that the Williams sisters make. Oh, that got on their nerves. Um, it burns me up because that's just them loving their sport and playing with as much passion as they can for it.
Mm-hmm. But it's up to us to bring these stories to life,
Hmm.
to become fans, engage, with these young ladies, support them in every way we can. If we can, purchase their T-shirts or other things that they're advocating and selling, buying their shoes. These things are important. You know, they make great Christmas gifts. Things like that. Just getting our young people, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, to get to know these players, to see them early enough to aspire to be like them. And I think that's really critical. Uh, in making progress. It's hard to control the media, but you can chastise the media. It used to be a time you couldn't get to the media, or you couldn't get to these companies.
Hmm.
With social media, they have accounts. You can get on their accounts and let them have.
Oh,
You know,
you better ask somebody.
yeah, and then we need to do that in mass. Anytime, uh, because my thing is I'm gonna get on X. I'm gonna know why these sport media outlets did. Why are y'all hiding the money that she made?
Hmm.
You know, who is it gonna harm for you to show that as success? Because you all measure success by money.
Exactly.
Here's somebody successful, and you shh, don't tell nobody. You want to keep it a hidden figure, and we gotta avoid that. We gotta stop hearing about stuff late. Because you think about this, Seth. She won that Woman of the Year award in March, and I still.
Give,
This is
give me.
November, and I still. I mean, I didn't hear about it even in December until I saw that Essence magazine
Well, you know what happened?
article.
They got rid of Jet Magazine and Black Radio.
Yeah, and yeah.
We would all knew. It would have been on the
Mhm.
cover of Jet. It would have been on the cover of Ebony. Essence would have showed up at people's houses, right? It don't show up at people's houses no more like that. People don't know it's a digital copy of Ebony. A lot of people probably
Mhm.
think Essence and Ebony and them was gone, right?
Right.
Essence is out there, but we would have knew. We would have knew. Jet Magazine didn't let you miss nothing. You would hear something and you didn't believe it until your Jet Magazine came. I remember that.
Mhm.
I'm
Yep.
gonna see
Every
what the
week.
Jet say. What? When Marvin Gaye got killed, we had to wait till Jet came to see what happened. We needed to know, but it was in the Jet
Mhm.
magazine for us to know. When you hear about, listen, we'll be on the radio. You'll be on the radio sometime. You hear him playing somebody's songs. They say, "Oh, they playing all Marvin songs. He either passed or it's his birthday," and you wait to
Mhm.
hear what they say. Right?
Mhm.
We don't have that type of mass communication anymore at BET. Oh goodness, we're gonna have to do something about. We're gonna have to do something on BET. They so late to the party. For them to be Black Entertainment Television, you can't flip on their TV, that TV channel, and find out nothing. They don't have no breaking news about anything going on in Black America that's important to us. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
that is ridiculous.
Nothing. Not on BET, not on TV One, not on BET Heard, not on BET Plus. None of them. At least give us some place where we can go and have a safe space to get breaking news in a
Mhm.
way that is helpful to us. We ain't doing none of that.
Yeah.
I know Viacom on BET, but how do we let that happen? See what I'm saying? How the hell
Mhm.
do we let that happen?
Exactly. Exactly. And media is so critical.
And don't get me started on the NAAC and the P. Don't get me started on them. Don't get me started on, like I said, the NAAC and the P. All of them.
Mhm.
No breaking news. No, and black leaders. Okay, I'll get on my soapbox. I don't want to go there. I
No,
don't
but
want to go there.
what it is you have this false illusion that we blended into something, and then you don't have black journalists that want to work for these smaller companies. Everybody is trying to maximize something else, but in the shuffle, our news gets lost. You know, although I blame mainstream media for not putting this out, but I know why they hide things. So we should have some mechanism, where we could celebrate her, her achievements each time that she makes them.
And I need something besides the Stellar Awards. I need something besides the Stellar Awards too. Okay,
Yeah,
I do. I'm just saying.
yeah. We need to have a sports award that celebrate uh, black athletes. We really, we really do.
Black excellence. Black
Hmm.
excellence needs to be celebrated. And the thing is, that's the other thing too, is that I'm talking about the black athlete, but I want to push the narrative to make it about black excellence so that my young minds know that there's black excellence in science. There's black excellence in math. There's black excellence in theater. There's black excellence in IT. There's black excellence in politics. There's black excellence in education. There's black excellence all over. You don't have to just
Hmm.
be a rapper. You don't just have to be
An
an
athlete.
athlete. You don't have to. You can do both of those things, but it's black excellence in everything. It's
Right, and
black
then
excellence in everything.
you also want to be able to point them in the direction of scholarships. You know,
Hmm.
want to let them know, you could achieve things at certain, at the high school level. Possibly you could get a scholarship and go to college, and really excel. And I'm not
Hmm.
just talking about in sports. I'm talking about in every endeavor.
Engineering, in science, in math, in art, in soccer, in golf, in tennis, in shot put, in track. I mean, they giving away scholarships in all kind of different in all kind of avenues, and you can use your body to get an education that gives you a career that sustains you for a lifetime and can create generational wealth.
Right? Give you a beautiful lifestyle. That's what it kind of comes down to.
Let me
Living the
see.
dream.
50 Cent with overseas. Okay, I got you. A lot of people don't understand that. They think we are just making stuff up. Oh gosh. And tennis being a solo sport, I assume it gets lonely. You can be comfortable working on developing your skills by yourself for hours as a kid. I mean, I was so happy Venus had Serena and Serena had Venus because it was grueling out there. This is somebody out
Mm-hmm.
there to pick all them tennis balls up with you, carry them home. Think about that. You done hit all these balls all over the court. Now you got to walk and gather them all up and put them in the bucket and start it all over again. Yeah, waiting for a black girl to come from their mouths. Exactly. NC State had a foreign teacher coach the tennis team. Tennis team was Boston. And commentators call them white passionate and black women angry. Exactly. BET is owned by the whites, Viacom. Johnson sold to the highest bidder. It wasn't Byron Allen, and he tried for the record. What Byron Allen on the Weather Channel?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what Byron ended up getting the Weather Channel? You thought what was the SS Awards? The Stellar Awards or the NAACP Award?
And then recently, I believe Tyler Perry tried to buy BET, but the deal fell through. You know, he was able to raise the money, but all of a sudden they didn't want to sell it to him.
Let them have it and just
Mm,
start your own.
yeah.
But see, what happened? Everybody sell out. Oprah, she sold.
Mm-hmm.
She had own network till she didn't want to own it no more.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, a parent, if she had kept her talk show, you know, and celebrated, some of the black excellence, people would know about it not only in the mainstream, but
Oh no, they said you had celebrated enough. That was it. That's it. That's it.
Mhm.
Please. Sorry about that, y'all. So back to where we was at. Let me because I took us way some other place, but all of this stuff it just reminds me how it all intersects. Now how we have to how we have to talk about it, and we have to look at it sometimes in a big picture, right, and not in this magnifying glass on one athlete at a time to really try to shine the light on how things are being handled. But I mean, um, Coco's success is reason to celebrate, but it's also a reminder of like the work that we still need to do to make tennis like more inclusive and equitable, and that starts with the systemic changes at every level. Um, let's let's dive deeper into some of the systemic challenges that are out there. Um, I know Coco is one of the few black women at the top of tennis, Why do you think we see so little representation in coaching or leadership roles? I don't know that I've ever saw a black coach. Like even this, besides Richard, like Richard and Oracene were their coaches until, uh, you know, I think Venus and Serena both have white male coaches. I'm not sure about Coco's coach. Why do you think we see such little representation in those type of roles?
because
And what can we
they're
get to
not
change?
players. When you don't have a lot of players, you don't have people that potentially become coaches.
Hmm.
So when there's not a lot of influx on the male side nor the female side, then there's unlikely that you'll have 10% of those people that will become coaches.
Do you think
Because
tennis? So is tennis a harder coach, a harder sport to coach if you're not a player? Because I see people coach basketball, I ain't never played basketball all the time,
I
or
don't,
coach football. Would
you
y'all
know,
would y'all say that?
that's a good question. I'm really not sure, because
Y'all let me know in the chat what y'all think too.
yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't, from I mean, I played a little tennis, of course, not on an elite level. Uh, for playing recreation tennis, it's 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 uh it's not so, it has strategy and stuff like that, tactics and things like that. They're the fundamentals, just like it is in any sport. You
Oh,
know, it,
absolutely.
it's very the movements are very similar to basketball. That's one of the closest sports to it because of the lateral, constant movement that you need to do. But I can't imagine that it is. But is it expensive to get certified to be a coach? We
Oh,
don't know.
probably so. I would love to see. I would love to see some black scientists or black developer come up with ways to use technology to help train tennis to lower the cost and make it more accessible in inner city communities. Like how can we use AI and computer programming and robotics to be able to help train in this space where maybe you can't afford a real coach until you get to a certain level, but you can get these basic fundamentals and um, strategies and abilities to be able to compete to at least show that you are worthy of that next level of coaching. So I would love to see something like that happen. Uh, I don't know if I lost political will.
Okay,
Your
I'm back.
brother was in Jet. You said your brother was in Jet. Okay, Harold. But I would like to see how we could use robotics and that kind of stuff to bring up to further along the coaching in a more cost effective way. So I would love to
Mhm.
see some work around that. To try to increase the resources that are available. Uh,
I'm gonna kind of research that. I'm gonna start with because the young man, the young man that owns that tennis center uh,
mhm.
here in my city. He's African American coach,
Hmm.
and he this tennis center is also an education center, and I think that's how he was able to. It's like built on 13 acres of
Oh
land.
wow. Okay.
Is a beautiful, beautiful facility. There's still some pay involved, but he has some kind of scholarship program. But
Sure.
I'd like to kind of chat with him and ask him,
Oh, absolutely. And
about.
I wonder if they do stuff on like a sliding scale too, based on what you can afford or what your
Yeah.
income is, and probably your skill set probably factors into who gets a scholarship as well. Uh,
Mhm.
I got 32 in the chat, y'all. Please double tap on the screen and hit that like. If you're on the TV, scroll up and hit to the right and hit the like. We appreciate that. It don't cost y'all nothing to hit that like for us, please. ESPN 100 says there are a ton of baseball and football coaches who never played at a high level. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if tennis is one of those words. Like I know I couldn't walk out there and just coach nobody on tennis. Now,
Golf. I know I couldn't do golf.
oh man, because you got to be able to read the greens and a lot of stuff. Now Richard Williams was able to read a lot of books and do some studying, watch some videos, and teach a lot of the fundamentals to Venus and Serena Oracene too. I want to make sure that I include Oracene in there because a lot of times Richard gets a lot of the credit. But when I watched Serena's story,
Mhm.
Oracene was the one that gave Serena the serve.
Mm.
It was her mother that gave her the serve, and then I remember in the movie where Richard went off with Venus, and then it was Oracene and Serena a lot of times. And so the serve, when you listen to Serena, talk to, tell her story and all of that stuff, like Oracene was a really big part of of the player that Serena is. And I think that's more of the fight. And that part of that is her being the youngest, but another part of that I think too is just like her mom. But they were able to teach a lot with just videos and stuff. But how you put the spin on the ball, how you hit the racket, is overhand, how you slice. That seems like it could be, maybe not easily taught, but if you have a handle on the fundamentals, then you might be able to learn some of that stuff from computer generated training and videos and those type of resources.
And one
So
thing, right quick, I like to
yeah, for sure.
tell the fans, if you see a clip on Coco, spread it on your social media. If you see an interview she made, I mean, spread those things. Anytime you see a negative narrative, push back on those narratives. They'll just let things, be said and not comment on.
That's a
So
great point.
those are
That's with
ways that
everything.
we can help our black female athletes to thrive. When I come across certain athletes, negative posts, I respond. And let them know that that's not proper to say, or not nice to say. I mean, I not gonna sit here and say I'm nice in every response. So
Y'all see political.
I
Y'all
call
know.
them out.
I thought political Lil was gonna get me through off of YouTube. I said, "Oh, I don't know who this is." One more comment
So
like this, and they gonna ban my page.
yeah, so we have to do that for these young people in order to continue to support them, because they deal with a lot of mental anguish. Just
Mhm.
trying to be somebody, and it's just so unfair that we live in a society that looks to crush them instead of allow them to excel in what they do. So that's my comment on that engagement with the fans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, Sharing their stories, celebrating their wins, pushing back against those narratives, creating your own post.
Hmm.
Uh, we create TikToks and all that kind of stuff. You see something, put a highlight out, put a clip out, put that stuff out. For those of us that are in that space, because it's also about advocating for equity, right? So
Hmm.
we're supporting initiatives that make sports like tennis more accessible. We can donate to grassroots programs, volunteer at local tennis clubs, raise awareness about the barriers. All of those things help, as well as sharing out. Um, let's see, me, I ain't gonna let nothing, let nonsense slide. We know you ain't let no nonsense slide, MJ Lover. Uh, Facts and political ill. We can't be silent and people attacking our athletes to show them they have support and to stomp those people down. Yeah, absolutely. Stomp those people down. It's the same thing like, you know, uh, you see somebody, being attacked, step up, stand next to them, stand with them. Push,
Hmm.
tell them, no, not on my watch. Let them know, not
Hmm.
on my watch. And like, check it right away. Check that behavior right away. Um, and it's not just about buying products. It's also about asking questions. Are the brands we support uplifting diverse athletes really? Are they putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to inclusion really? Those are the questions that we have to start asking ourselves.
Yep, and let's not forget the power of our collective voices. We can write to the media outlets. We can participate in discussions like this and demand better representation and fair coverage. All starts with us.
Yeah, I mean, supporting Coco Gauff athletes like her, it's not just about cheering them on. It's about creating that system where success isn't the exception, but like the rule, right? We all have to play a role in that. So, um, and that just that tracks right back to Black excellence and celebrating. Today we celebrated Coco Gauff's incredible achievements while shining the light on these systemic challenges that still persist in tennis and beyond. Her story is a testament of power, of perseverance, authenticity, breaking barriers. Um, Blue, cool. You got any thoughts before we get ready to get out of here?
Yeah, as we discussed, it's all on us to continue supporting athletes like Coco Gauff, not just on the court, but in a broader fight for equity and representation. Let's use her success as an inspiration to push for more inclusive and di- diverse sports, in the sports industry.
Absolutely. Welcome to HDI TV. What's up, nephew? Snuck in the building. What's up? Salute Auntie and Political Lil. Hope all is well. Shout out to Coco. She deserves it. Everybody get a shout out to Coco. Matter of fact, on your
Oh,
social
go!
media today, just shout out at Coco. Shout out at Coco Gauff for Woman of the Year. Let's see if we can make that go viral.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag shout out Coco or something like that. Let's see if we can do it. Um, What for HDI TV? What up, though? Y'all let us know. Get in the comments, get in the chat. For those of y'all that's gonna be on the rewatch gang on this one, let us know your thoughts on Coco. How far she's come in tennis so far. Expectations of where she's going. Just like your feelings about her accomplishments this year. Uh, Let us know. If it's other what other topics y'all want us to cover. And just thank y'all for the continued support of this collaboration between Cess Talk Sports and BY Sports Media. Follow us for more impactful conversations. Uh, Share your thoughts, for real. Share your thoughts. Get in these comments because we're gonna be in the comments. Until next time, y'all keep breaking barriers and making history. Until next time, y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.